Wh40k Fluff for the uninitiated.
Episode 10, The Primarchs Part 2, Primarchs 6-10. 6. Primarchs of the 6th Legion Astartes, the Space Wolves. Leman Russ, also called the Wolf King or the Great Wolf. He landed on Fenris after his abduction, a feral death world of eternal ice, where he was adopted by a Fenrisian she-wolf. It should be noted that Fenrisian wolves are not like Earth wolves. They can bite through Space Marine battle plate and easily reach the size of grown horses. Russ was raised in a pack alongside his wolf brothers Freki and Gary. After a raid on a human settlement, the settlers hunted out his pack, killing most of them and capturing the wild warrior without a name. He got accustomed to human society quickly, but never cut ties with his inner wolf. The king of the settlers eventually named him Leman Russ. He proved to be the greatest warrior Fenris had ever known, and became the new king once the old one died, and he excelled at leadership as he had at command. Tales of his deeds reached the Emperor, who recognized his son in them. When he came before Russ in disguise, his son refused him obedience unless he could best him in one of 3 challenges. Russ won 2, but the Emperor bested him in a combat challenge. Leman pledged his allegiance and was given command of the Space Wolves Legion. He remained loyal during the heresy and served as the Emperor's personal executioner, tasked with punishing at least one of his brother Primarchs, Magnus the Red, and according to unconfirmed reports, perhaps one of the unknown legions. After the heresy, Russ proclaimed to his marines that he needed to leave, but said, "In the end I will return, for the final battle, for the wolf time." He has not been seen since his departure. 7. Primarch of the 7th Legion Astartes, the Imperial Fists. Rogal Dorn. It is not known which planet he landed on, but it is thought to have been Inwit, an ice world in the system of the same name. He was adopted by the patriarch of an ice caste, who raised him as his grandfather at first. Rogal loved him, even after it was revealed that they were not related. Rogal eventually became leader of the clan, the world, and the entire system, until after 40 years the Emperor discovered him. His legion, the Imperial Fists, were the best at defensive warfare, and Dorn was a brilliant strategist, instinctively knowing when the situation called for order and discipline and when to let loose. He remained loyal during the heresy and was tasked with guarding Terra and the Imperial Palace itself. He died after the heresy, storming the bridge of a Chaos warship during a Black Crusade while his vastly outnumbered fleet held the line until reinforcements could arrive. 8. Primarch of the 8 Legions Astartes, the Night Lords. Conrad Curse, also called the Night Haunter. He landed on Nostromo after his abduction, a mining world of eternal night due to pollution blackening out the sun. He raised himself because Nostromo Quintus was a heartless city of crime and poverty, and nobody would take in an orphan. Even this early in his life he was plagued by visions of a grim, dark future. He grew up to resent the omnipresent lawlessness around him, and lashed out in his own way. He had learned to stalk the shadows and kill without a second thought. Now he transitioned from killing wild animals for food to killing criminals for show. He would pick them off unseen, kill and mutilate them as gruesomely as he possibly could, propping them in the most public places for everyone to see. Nobody was safe from lowly street scum to corrupt officials. He cultivated fear so efficiently that crime rates dropped to almost 0 within a year. Nobody knew who was behind the grisly killings, so he became a myth, the Night Haunter, who would punish any who would break the peace. Only after having eradicated all nobles and administrators he deemed corrupt did he reveal himself and became the first monarch of Nostromo Quintus. His subjects considered him a fair and temperate ruler, but he would punish any infractions without mercy, making sport of hunting, mutilating and killing any deserving of his wrath. Word of his deeds spread to the other cities, where the fear of him pacified the populations as well. When the Emperor arrived to take him, many of the Nostromans were blinded by his light, but Curse surrendered to his fate, having foreseen the event and that it would eventually lead to his death. After having been taught the ways of the Imperium by his brother Fulgrim, he was given command of the Night Lords Legion. He and his Astartes soon developed a reputation for never doing anything half-heartedly. They struck with full force and would not stop until the last of their enemies lay dead. They designed their armor and their combat tactics to create the fear of death itself in the hearts of any who opposed them, until they were so infamous that the mere rumor of them coming to assist them would straighten its world right up. But in the absence of the Night Haunter, Nostromo reverted back to the previous chaotic state. Upon learning of this, Curse ordered his planet destroyed. This genocide made him susceptible to the whisperings of chaos, and instead of fighting for the Imperium, he fought for the sake of fear and death. When the Emperor decided to rein in his aberrant son, the heresy broke out, and the Night Haunters sided with Horus. The Night Lords were special in that they utilized chaos as tools to their terror campaigns, but never sided with the Chaos Gods. Because of the Night Lord's ability to remain unseen behind enemy lines and strike hard when the opportunity arose, the Emperor ordered the Calidus Temple of Assassins to kill the Night Haunter, who dispatched fully half their assassins on this mission. One of them, Mshen, succeeded because Curse allowed it. He had ordered his men to not intervene because he had foreseen his demise at her hands. Accounts vary, some saying he had realized he had become an indiscriminate killer instead of a force of justice, while others say he felt justified in everything he ever did, and that he only ever punished the wrongdoings of the corrupt and believed his death would vindicate him. 9. Primarch of the 9th Legion Astartes, the Blood Angels. Sanguinius, also called the Angel. He landed on Baal Secundus, second moon of Baal, where he was adopted by a tribe calling themselves the People of the Pure Blood. He accomplished nothing outstanding there, but excelled at all things he did. For an unknown reason, Sanguinius grew a pair of majestic wings, and was able to see into the future. He foresaw the arrival of the Emperor and immediately swore his allegiance, immediately taking command of his Blood Angels Legion. He became Horus's favored brother, who went so far as to say the title of War Master should have been Sanguinius's. But despite their strong bond, Sanguinius sided with his father during the heresy, which led to the two brothers facing each other in combat at the end of the Battle of Terra, each trying to convince the other to rethink. In the end, Horus struck the angel down, but not before the War Master's armor received a dent which ended up allowing the Emperor to defeat Horus. For his life's work and this act of sacrifice, he is held in the highest regard by the citizens of the Imperium. 10. Primarch of the 10th Legion Astartes, the Iron Hands. Ferrus Manus, also called the Gorgon. He landed on Medusa, a world dominated by earthquakes and volcanoes. Instead of attaching himself to the stoic and hardy tribal people, as his brothers would, he made the decision to be on his own, seeking out ever greater physical challenges to become the strongest and toughest he could be, eventually slaying Azernoth, the great silver worm, that could not be harmed by conventional means, which he defeated by drowning it in a pool of magma. The worm's melted flesh bonded with his own, giving him the metallic hands his legion would be named for. Only now did he join the tribes and quickly advance their technology, while keeping out of politics because he liked that the competition between tribes contributed to their strength. He did not accept the Emperor as his master until they had done battle, a titanic event that leveled entire mountains. Ferrus would have been loyal during the heresy, but he was the first Primarch to die in it, being decapitated by his brother Fulgrim, once his closest friend who he exchanged handmade weapons with. This act was the point at which Fulgrim fully gave in to the corruption, allowing his possessed Blades demon to take him over fully.